When they ask what happened here, tell them North remembers. Okay, you can go now. Alright, you guys, it is here. It finally came. For 7 seasons we've waited, and winter has finally arrived in Westeros. Arya, if you go near the camera one more time, we are gonna have a problem. So we finally got some new Game of Thrones after what seemed about a year that we waited. It actually has been longer than usual than what we've had to wait for before. Like, usually it's... I think Game of Thrones usually came out in like April or something, and now it's like mid-July, and we're finally getting some new Thrones. Anyways, let's just get right into it. Right away, one of the things I loved, and before like the episode had even started, was the previously on Game of Thrones segment. It was beautifully cut and beautifully edited, from the music to just the pieces that they chose to show us. It all just flowed really well together, and it was like a highlights of the best things that had happened, obviously. It also brought back things from like season 1 that we hadn't seen in a while, like we saw Viserys, and it was a great throwback to what we've started with to where we are now. Let's talk about that cold opening for a second. From the opening Arya scene, I thought it was a flashback to the Red Wedding at first, but like I actually slowly figured it out. I was like, wait a second. That is not Walter Frey. And Arya just kind of shows how badass she actually is, and like what a threat she is actually going to be in like the upcoming war, like in the war that's coming, you know, versus whether it be the Lannisters, whether it's the White Walkers. Arya is definitely a force to be reckoned with at this point. I also like the dialogue that she had throughout that entire scene, where she was like, you should have killed all the Starks, you shouldn't have left one alive, because if you leave one alive, the wolf is going to come back to haunt you. Next up, we go all the way past beyond the wall. We see through Bran's eyes the army of the dead as it makes its way towards the wall. And like the thing that we've seen now that I don't think we've seen before is we saw giant whites. That's gonna be terrifying when they finally attack. And actually, we get to see that Bran and Meera finally make it to the wall. You know, I thought it was gonna be like a little bit before they finally got there, but no, thankfully, Bran and Meera are finally at the wall. Meera can finally take a break from carrying Bran for like the last 6 seasons. Next up, we go south of the wall to Winterfell, where Jon and Sansa, who are now back in control since from the Battle of the Bastards from the last season. So we see Jon and Sansa, which this is expected. We see them at odds with each other. So we see Sansa, who's clearly more of a Lannister, I feel, at this point, in the way she thinks and the way she plays the game. She doesn't play the games as a Northerner would. Like, Jon is very much influenced by Ned, clearly by the way he speaks, by the way just the laws that he upholds, whereas Sansa has been influenced, and you see it in the scene that her and Jon share, that she's definitely been influenced by Cersei and by the Lannisters, and just by her time in King's Landing, and also with Ramsay Bolton, who was also, you know, just an awful person. She's been around nothing but awful people since she left Winterfell. So she's obviously got that different mind style than Jon has, who's been in charge, but he's also not as bright as Sansa is at this point. We also do see how great of a leader Jon can actually be. He unites the North, he brings back the houses that had deserted them from the Boltons, and it was actually a really sweet, touching moment to watch. Alright, meanwhile we go further south to King's Landing, where we find Cersei, now in control, and Jaime's a little bit freaked out because, you know, she kind of just killed everybody. Like a lot of people just died an episode ago, and they kind of realize that everybody hates them. They have 0 allies at this point. The Freys were the only allies, and Arya clearly took care of that. In comes Euron Greyjoy. If you don't remember who Euron Greyjoy is, he is what's it called? I almost called him Reek. He's Theon and Yara's uncle, who just came back, and, you know, he killed everybody. He killed his brother, and now he's like the Salt King. And he tells her that if she marries him, he will bring him back. You know, he'll give her the fleet, and he'll also bring her back the most precious gift, which is obviously he's gonna go after Tyrion. At least that's what I think. Then we move to Old Town, and obviously Sam thought this was just gonna be like a breeze, and he's gonna learn everything. It's not. He's just been cleaning chamber pots the entire time. It was honestly my least favorite part of the episode. It just kind of seemed, there was this just like segment of him just cleaning like chamber pods, stacking books, cleaning chamber pods, stacking books, and it was just, I feel like it dragged on a little bit. And the coolest part of what we got to see from Old Town was the fact that we got to see our favorite friend zone Knight. You know, we got to see him, and it's not going so well for the poor guy. And he has some cool dialogue with Sam, but I'm not going to talk anymore about that. Sam also finds another discovery. I'm not going to talk about that, so let's move on. Back at Winterfell, we actually see Pod and Brienne, which I love. They're my favorite duo, aside from Arya and the Hound. And then we actually see Tormund try to flirt with Brienne as she's sparring with Pod, and I just like that whole ship and how they're actually like moving on with it. Hopefully, if Brienne can get over a certain Lannister with a golden hand, who I actually want them to end up together too, though. I don't know. It's conflicting. We also see Littlefinger try to influence Sansa again. I just kind of want Littlefinger. I know he's a great character, and I know a lot of you guys like him. I've never liked Littlefinger. He's just an asshole, and I mean, he plays the game well, but I just don't like his character. And I feel like Sansa will also wrap him around her finger, so I don't know. Like Sansa, like I said, Sansa's got... She used to be like my least favorite character, and now she is at the top of the list. Also, one thing I noticed, this is like the Game of Thrones All-Star season. Like, everybody that I did not really like has died, and some that I really did like have died, but still, everybody's just a cool character at this point, and we've spent so much time with these characters that they're all, you know, coming together, and it's cool. The next thing we see is the Ed Sheeran scene with Arya, and I'm not going to touch too much about that, but it was cute. I like the song. You also see that, like, not all Lannisters are evil. Not all Lannister soldiers, anyways, are that bad of people. And there's a one line that Arya says that was hilarious, and it was a good scene. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore though. The next thing we see though is the Hound. He's with the Brotherhood without banners. He's with Varric, and I really like this scene. I'm not gonna spoil it because it was a great segment. I like the Hound character, and you see how far like his character has actually come. He was just like a pet of the Lannisters, and he did whatever they wanted at first, and now you see him, and he's grown a lot, especially in the last couple of seasons. And I can't wait for the reunion between the Hound and Arya. It's gonna be great. And he also has this really cool scene at the end of his segment where I'm not gonna spoil that one. Finally, we see the Dragon Queen herself, Daenerys, land at she's finally home. What I really liked about this scene was like the showrunners, they brilliantly added no dialogue to the entire scene except for like the last 2 seconds of the show. And like right away, we see the sight of the 3 dragons just flying over Dragonstone, and Dany and her advisors finally on the beach. You know, you see Varys, you see Tyrion, Missandei, Grey Worm, and right away you can definitely tell that the show obviously has a larger budget this season. Dragonstone looks beautiful. There's a faraway shot, even just like the gate and like the dragon statues. It looks amazing. It's also a great performance from Emilia Clarke, and it's also accompanied by a great piece by Ramin again, who I can't wait to see what he does like with the music in this season, because the music in last season was just next level, so he's just got to top that. The last line in this show sets the tone for the entire season because it shows that Dany is going to waste no time. She is here for her throne. She wants her throne. She will get her throne. I don't know if she will at the end. Write down what you guys think. If Dany will win, who do you think is going to win the Game of Thrones? As far as next week's episode, we got a really cool shot of a direwolf and then Arya. And that made me super excited because if you guys don't remember, Arya's direwolf, Nymeria, is still actually alive and she's well, and in the books, I don't know if they're going to go that route, but in the books, she's got something going on. Anyways, at least that's what I heard. I haven't read the books, but I know that she's still alive, obviously, so yeah. The Northerners are trying to tell Jon that Dany can't be trusted, and Cersei is trying to tell everybody else that Dany can't be trusted, but that's about it. I'm not going to get into it. We'll get into that next week. That's about it. I really enjoyed this episode. I don't know if it's because I've been waiting for it for a while, like we all have, but I thought it was like one of the best, especially best opening scenes, best final scenes too. It was like the best first episode to a season of Game of Thrones that I think that they've had. They've had a couple brilliant other ones, but this one was just... It's starting it off amazingly, and I can't wait to see what the showrunners do next. I'm just pumped. I'm so glad the Game of Thrones is back, you guys. I don't know if you're excited as I was, but yeah. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen and what you're most excited to see, what reunions you guys are most excited to see. I can't wait to see what the show brings us. Every episode is going to get better. Alright, you guys, let me know what you guys think, what you're most excited about, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.